Sylvia, welcome back to my channel. I'm having the happiest mail delivery day because I have received something that is truly bringing me joy, and I don't mean it just in a Maricondo way, I mean in every possible way. And I just wanted to share my enthusiasm and happiness with all of you. So let's have a look. I just quickly opened it. As you can see, I got a parcel here. So I just quickly opened it and took a sneak peek just to make sure that it's indeed what I think it is. And it is. And so without much further ado, I do have some decks as well. Don't you worry. This is not a deck. It's actually better than a deck, if I may say so. So here we go. We've got here, this is, by the way, a really excellent box. I don't know if you can see here, but this is the way in which Andrea is going to be delivering the magazine. So what you see here is the Discombobulator. It is a magazine about magic and the occult. And also, I would personally add to that it's also about praising the ability of human beings to forever be surprised. You know, surprised at things, surprised at nature, surprised at themselves, and loving it, and just living with an open mind and the possibility to absorb all of the wonderful things that are around us. So this is a collaboration between some very big names of the tarot community. It is the idea and creation of artist Andrea Aste. I also did an interview with Andrea and I posted it on my channel. So I will actually make sure to put the link to the interview in the description box below if you guys have missed it and you want to check it out. It was a fantastic conversation. And in the interview, we touch on many arguments, many topics going from growing up in Italy, and Italy, which is a country that ironically, some say we invented tarot, some say no, it was created in France, some say, well, it happened at the same time. It is true that it is part of the modern tapestry and also the not so modern tapestry of our society. Nowadays, though, as myself a collector and a reader of many decades, I have to say we've been through ups and downs. And so Andrea lovingly described his growing up in a family in which he was very close to his mom, but he did have some clear opposition from his dad because of his kind nature. I believe that when we look at artists, we can always find that one reason why they finally overcame all of these obstacles and took flight and just literally became a fantastic artist. So we are going to have a look at this in a second, but I just wanted to say that I'm so very honored because Andrea has asked me to be a contributor for the Discombobulator, the magazine. And so I'm incredibly excited because I did write an article myself and it was published here, and I'm going to write an article for the #1 as well, which is coming up in a few months. So this number has already been launched. It is possible for you to buy it. I do highly recommend subscribing to Andrea's newsletters or checking out his website. You can find it here, but it's very small, but it's basically www.andreaaste.world. And if you go and just have a look at all the products that he's selling on his website, and there's also a website for the Discombobulator itself. So I will put everything in the description box below, but I just wanted to say that this is a very elegant box, and what I really like is that even though when I received it, it was basically caved in because that's, it's coming from the UK and I live in Australia. Honestly, I would have expected it to be roughed up a lot more than this. But even though it was slightly caved in when I received it, the magazine is perfect. It's in perfect, mint perfect conditions because Andrea has found a fantastic way to preserve it. And basically it doesn't even move around because the belly band is attached to the bottom part of the box, which is genius if you ask me. So let's just dive in, because I don't want to show you the whole magazine. There is, as I said in the interview, we actually talk about the magazine. We also show some footage of it. But also because I really believe that we need to support artists, and obviously this is, Andrea's expression and product and the way in which he is creating his own art and putting it out there in the world. And so I believe that if we like Andrea's decks, he's a tarot and oracle and Lenormand deck creator, and we want to keep on making decks, we also need to understand that we need to support his work. And so by purchasing the Discombobulator, you're definitely going to be supporting Andrea's art. So let's have a quick look. Okay, so once you remove it from the box, it's also wrapped like this, as you can see. So I'm going to unwrap it because I actually really love the cover of this magazine. It's a very beautiful black and it's a very beautiful green eye. And I'm a color person. You guys probably have noticed it before. I believe there's actually a condition referring to that, but the name escapes me. I literally associate personalities and memories, especially. I link memories to colors. And so whenever I need to remind myself of someone, the first thing that comes to mind for me are this person's colors. You know, it could be the color of the hair, it could be the color of the eyes, which are, genetically there. But at the same time, it could be the color of this person's favorite shirt and so on and so forth. And so colors are very, very important for me. And I have to say that this combination of black and this teal green is my favorite color. It's just absolutely glorious for me. So as you can see, it comes wrapped with this magazine jacket. I believe that's the name. And this will make sure that no matter where you live, you will receive the product absolutely intact, with no tear, no dent, no creases, and so on and so forth. And also it will avoid any kind of humidity to get in. I have to say as well that if you live in the US, Sandra is based in the United Kingdom. However, if you live in the US, even with all the uncertainty related to the tariffs and the taxes and everything that you guys are probably really sick to talk about nowadays, because it's been months, you can rest assured because Andrea has found a solution, and the shipping is actually incredibly affordable, and you'll be happy to know that you can order this magazine and it will be delivered in the United States as well. And if I got it in Australia, there's nowhere in the world that it cannot send it to, because honestly, we're just at the end of imagine, going on and on and on, taking a flight and going and flying and flying and flying and flying, and then having a layover of like 6 hours, and then taking another plane and flying and flying and flying and flying, and after 2 days you finally land in Australia. This is how far I am from everyone. So in any case, if it got here safely, it will get to your place safely as well. So as I was saying, I'm not going to show all of it, but what I wanted to show you, because this is my channel and I'm really proud of being here. And why am I proud of being here? Well, first of all, because Andrea recognized, and he liked the way in which I do these videos, and my spontaneity, and and the content that I propose to you guys, but also because you should see the names of the people that are in here. I mean, you ever heard about imposter syndrome? Major imposter syndrome for me. God, honestly, I'm like, I really don't know what have I done to deserve to be next to these people. But I'm not complaining, and fake it till you make it, you know what they say. So there's something really, really cute here as well, a sticker, which I always love, because I love, actually it's not a sticker, sorry, my bad, I actually don't know what it is. So it talks about Discombobulator number 1, and magic is a science of the imagination. I absolutely agree. And this looks like the back of a tarot card, by the way. And then we've got, so this postcard is advertising the next deck by Andrea, and it's called the Tarot of Crossed Destinies. Now, the Tarot Crossed Destinies is very close to my heart because it is the title of one of my favorite Italo Calvino's books, which is called Il Castello dei Destini Incrociati. So obviously instead of castle, castello, Andrea replaced that word with tarot. So we got the tarot of Crossed Destinies. And it's going to be a Miriorama, which is going to be incredibly interesting, but also very ambitious, I will have to say, as a tarot project. It will be launched on Kickstarter. We don't that Andrea didn't necessarily know when, because as you can imagine, he's incredibly busy. But if you follow his Instagram account, you will be able to see some of the cards that have already been produced. And you just have to follow Andrea's profile on Kickstarter. I believe that you will automatically receive any updates. So really, really cool, the story behind it. It's the ever-shifting Miriorama where each card connects seamlessly, constructed an infinite architecture of esoterica. I mean, how cool is that? I cannot wait. So these are the social media accounts where you can find the Discombobulator. So, and you see here Instagram and Facebook as well. Then the UK website, Andrea's UK website, the email at Gmail, and also the Discombobulator website. And that's about it. So I would just love to also point out, let me just see if I can zoom in, because it is large. It's a larger size, this magazine. And I also wanted to point out a couple of details, but I'm very scared because I'm surrounded by candles, because it's a very great day today in Sydney, which is really nonsensical because we had 36 degrees last week and today 12 degrees during the day. Last week 36. And we're supposed to go through, we're supposed to be in spring now, so it doesn't really make sense, does it? But it is what it is, and I actually love it because to me, it really makes me feel like I'm in autumn, and it gives me autumn vibes. And so I'm surrounded with candles, but candles, they're not necessarily safe around paper. So I'm just going to do this, and I'm just going to show you this because it's absolutely cute and adorable. So this is a cat, as you can see, and the cat is producing, let's say producing this quote by Ioan Petruculianu, "Magic is a science of the imagination," that we've seen earlier as well. And I promise you, I will, when someone says you are so used to doing something because of your profession that you automatically do it without even setting your mind to do it, I immediately started feeling for the cardstock. So it's almost as if this were a tarot deck, and I was like, okay, the cardstock is actually quite sturdy, it's glossy, and it's very flexible as well, so this will last for a while. I was about to actually say that, if you can believe it. So really, really beautiful production. This is a luxurious product. This is one of those magazines that you want to display on your coffee table, you want to have on your shelves. And it's also, it's not just aesthetics, it's actually some really interesting articles in here. So this is basically it looks like a map, as you can see, but it's basically all of the articles that you'll be able to find. And let's see if I can find my article. Let's see. Gee, they're so beautiful. I love maps, so it's actually really, really beautiful to see this. It reminds me, and it gives me a little bit of vibes of Mordor, the Lord of the Rings. So basically, here I am. Yours truly, there I am. So I'm really, really excited about the launch of this magazine. I really honestly cannot wait. So just for you to have an idea, we got Janine Worthington, we got Lorenzo Gaggiotti, we got Sasha Graham, which is next to me. Hi, Sasha. Wow. We've got Letizia Barbier, she's here. We got Anastasia Kashan, Karen Tasha Curry, Jonathan Hackett, Bonnie Chilvett, Ivana Drobek, and so on and so forth. So I am so stoked that my name and my photo are here, next to these incredible people, so famous for a reason, because they are famous for a reason. And obviously this is the magazine, really beautiful. This is really a product of, I would say, love, passion, but art, most definitely art. And I would just skip, and also there's an article on Baba Yaga. I mean, come on, it's super cool. I just wanted to skip ahead and show you mine. So it's here. It's a page 31. And I'm just going to show you this. And then obviously you can read it when you order it. You can read it. It's just, it's something that I had in my heart for a while, because I wanted to talk about a very specific deck that kind of changed the way in which I look basically at death and love. And I know that it sounds like a cliche, but guys, there's a reason why some themes in life are a cliche, because people keep on thinking about them. Otherwise they wouldn't be. I mean, who goes out for a walk in the morning, at sunrise like I do now, because it's the only time of the day in which I can go out without sweating. Well, not today, obviously, with 13 degrees, but normally when it's 36, it starts being 34 at 9 a.m., so I go earlier. So who goes out at, say, 7 a.m. in the morning and thinks about, taxes? Well, I guess we do. But you know what I mean? We think about love. We think about the loved ones. We think about our relationship with them. We think about their presence in our lives. And I'm not talking just about, a romantic relationship. Of course, I am talking about that. But I'm talking about any kind of relationship that becomes important for us. And so my approach to that deck is the Mioim Tarot. My approach to that deck, or rather, let me just say something revolutionary. The deck's approach to me, because I had no idea that that deck would have been so powerful. But the way in which that deck entered my life and changed the way in which I actually relate to love and death. Basically, I felt like there was this massive shift in my core self, and I talk about it every time I talk about that deck in my channel and other decks as well. By the way, you see, this is a reflection of my camera, apologies for that, but it's a very beautiful glossy cardstock. So every time I talk about that deck and other decks in my channel, I always try and explain what I feel when I look at a deck, what it makes me feel. Does it challenge my mind? Does it challenge my own interpretation of tarot? Does it say something that I haven't heard before? Because admittedly, after so many years and many more years that I've been reading tarot and collecting tarot, you kind of start looking at them and thinking that you want something else, but staying within the realm of tarot. And that's what I feel when I look at the Mioim Tarot. So if you want to read my review, it goes in deeper into this relationship between love and death, and define death with love, which is something that always makes me very emotional, because I've lost a lot of people in my life that I loved very, very much. And one in specific, because with her, she was one of my closest friends. And with her, I actually went to watch the movie Interstellar by Christopher Nolan when it came out. And it was one of the last times I saw her. And basically, Interstellar is about that. It's about how love defies any kind of astrophysics, any kind of law related to physics and astrophysics. And I believe that if we do have that concept expressed in anything that we do in our practice of tarot readers, we can find that in some of our decks, certainly in the Mioim Tarot. In any case, I also wanted to make that deck, which is still available, but admittedly it isn't in the deck, so it does not have a mass market price. And so I have been told by several of you that you would love to have a copy, but unfortunately you cannot, and I completely understand that. I myself bought it secondhand, so I completely understand that. But I also wanted to make a little part of that deck available to you to just understand how it reads and how it feels. So if you want to check that out, it's on the Discombobulator. As I said, there will be a link for you to where to find this magazine in the description box below. And guys, if you're in London or in and around London and you're planning to go to London, I will be in London on the 21st of November. So really not much longer to wait, because together with Andrea and Letizia Barbieri and Sasha Graham and others, we're actually going to present officially this magazine at the College for Psychic Studies in London on the 21st of November. It's a free event, so if you want to come, you can. I will make sure to film as much as I can, but I will be part of the panel of speakers, so obviously I might not have time to film, but I will make sure to do as much as possible, so I will be able to show you whatever I can. But this is going to be a fantastic event, and I just want to ask for your support and well wishes, because I'm incredibly nervous about it, as you can imagine. And one thing is actually talking to a camera, one thing is talking to, well, I guess, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, because I have been working, I have been working as a speaker for a lot of projects in companies before, but this is different. This is something that comes from my heart. This is not corporate talk. This is really passionate stuff. In any case, if you're in London or in and around London and you want to come see us, please do so. College of Psychic Studies in London, 21st of November, starting from 6 p.m. or thereabouts. And now we're moving on to a couple of decks that I just got recently into my collection. And I just have to say that I know that one of them is probably going to disappoint me. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, then why the hell did you buy it? A totally legitimate question, by the way. I bought it because I really love the Supernatural show. It's a Supernatural deck. I know. That's the Insight edition, rendition of this show, Supernatural, that went on from 2005 up until 2020, so 15 years. We have watched Sam and Dean Winchester fight any kind of supernatural being, including demons, angels, the devil, Lucifer, other demons, any kind of vampire, werewolf, Wendigo. I don't even remember the names of these monsters, but basically it is, I honestly cannot think of a show that I've loved more when it comes to ticking all the boxes for me. I was Team Dean, still am, Team Dean forever, Team Dean. But I also enjoyed Sam. I believe that they actually have two different personalities and they're both enjoyable. I think that it was a show that, because it was created in the early 2000s, at the same time I had the possibility to go on for 15 seasons and not make a caricature of itself, as sometimes it happens, for example, in other shows that I'm not going to name because I still love them anyway. But it is very difficult, I believe, for an actor to grow old of 15 years, and they started in the mid-20s and they ended at, they were almost 40 years old. So or even in the case of Jensen Ackles, I believe it was 42 when he finished the show. So you go back and look at yourself and look at the first episodes and the first couple of seasons, and the tendency or the risk is to make a character of yourself. You want to act to be what you made the character in the first couple of seasons rather than what the character has become. I hope I'm explaining myself, but basically it's something that I noticed on a lot of shows that run for so many years. This one, it didn't. I think that they managed to keep it true to the message that they wanted to deliver. And so that is fantastic. And for many other reasons, I thought I would just grab this deck and just bite the bullet and say, you know what, I know that I will probably be disappointed, because as it so often happens, especially in older deck, released by Insight Editions, what you will have is a little bit of a teaser. So that's what they show you. They show you some of the majors and you go, that looks absolutely freaking awesome. I really want this deck. And then you get the deck and you find out that the minors are incredibly lazy. They are not just pips, because sometimes pips can be beautiful, but they are lazy pip, and in many cases they probably don't even make a lot of sense. There's another deck released by Insight Edition, which is the Stranger Things deck, which is, by the way, I'm so excited about Stranger Things. 1 month to go. And for Stranger Things, for example, there was, I believe, a kind of a mistake, sort of a mistake in renaming the minors, because some things did not necessarily make sense, or at least not straight away. So it wasn't one of those decks that you can literally take out of the box like I'm doing now and then read straight away with it. It would have been kind of confusing, because imagine Pip minors, and on top of everything they changed the name of the suits and they're not necessarily straightforward. So obviously you just look at something, it's an ice cream cone with 3 scoops, and you go, it could be anything. It could be pentacles because scoops are round, or it could be, I don't know, it could be anything, seriously. In any case, I don't want to set my expectation high. I know already that the minors are pips. I know that. I just wanted to buy this deck because I love the show. It meant so much to me whilst I was watching it and rewatching it. And this is a way to feel closer to Dean and Sam and their adventures and whatever that happened to them. And I'm also hoping that I will be able to move away from the expectations of finding the minors to be illustrated and knowing that they're not. And so let's see how I react. But in any case, I already like the backs, for example. This is Enochian, the sigils that they use in order to protect themselves. There's something else to say. I know Supernatural like a true fan. Like I could go to a trivia night without my phone and I could actually maybe not win, but I could probably place top 3 out of 3 teams. Jokes aside, I do know a lot about Supernatural. And so, I thought to myself, you know what, I deserve it. I deserve it. Come on, I deserve it. It's a deck that I absolutely love. And there are some things, especially in the majors, that they're truly, well thought. And of course, the mother and the father, they're just, it makes sense that there are the emperor and the empress, and the emperor. So there's a number of things, obviously death. This one is the only, it's true that, so I heard about people complaining about the Lover's card being about Sam's only, let's say, love interest, which is at the very beginning, literally in, I believe it's episode 1, season 1, that's Jessica. And then unfortunately, that's not a spoiler, come on, if you haven't watched it, I mean, it's been 20 years. She dies like their mom died. And so but it's a catalyst for Sam to start helping Dean, because he was a reluctant hero. There always has to be a hero at the beginning, and the hero has to be presented with a challenge, and they have to decline, because otherwise you don't have that tension. And the tension comes when there's an inciting incident that convinces the hero to finally take on the challenge. And the inciting incident is for Sam to find out that Jessica has been killed by a demon, the same demon that killed his mom. So that's the catalyst for Sam to say, you know what, screw Stanford, and I'm going to join you on the hunt, and we'll just, this is the life that I've chosen. So I think that the choice is very present in this card. So what I hope is, of course, baby had to be the chariot. What I hope is that, hi Billy, is that with my, this is just a first impression unboxing, guys, you know me. Yes, of course, it's important, but at the same time, okay, Cass, at the same time, it's also, I'm allowing myself to not know everything about the deck and to make mistakes and so on and so forth. Hey, Jody. But at the same time, I wanted to work with this deck as much as I can. I love, by the way, Loki slash Gabriel slash Trickster slash Jokester slash Shift Shifter. I mean, they gave him so many roles to play in Supernatural, this guy, because fans actually wrote letters saying, we love him, please bring him back. And so it was really cool to see his evolution in the show. So as I was saying, I love the idea of actually working with this deck, so much so that one day, I don't know when, I will be able to give you my second impression, or let's say talking about this deck from the point of view of a person that has been using it for a while. And so I'm hoping to change someone's mind about how the cards read by finding these associations in the card. And now we start. You know, the clever thing to do is to always start with the core cards on a minor suit, because obviously the core cards are fully scenic. And then you go and you see, okay, Page of Wands, and then the Ace, because the Ace is okay, right? So this is, I'm imagining the suit of Wands, but because of the fire, I think it's referring to Wands. And then you got 2. And then you have, again, this is obviously, again, the mother, the moment in which she is pushed against the ceiling by the demon, and she burns and dissolves into ashes, which is actually really sad, but it is the catalyst of all the movie, the TV show, basically. So we go from something fully scenic back to something completely pip and lazy, if I may say, back to something fully scenic, and then again something completely lazy, to the point that at this point I would probably have to look down at the numeral, at the Roman number here, because honestly I just don't want to have to be there and just count the bones to know whether I'm looking at the 7 or the 8 of bones. At this point I'm not entirely sure whether we're talking about wands or what else could bones be. Bones, earth, back to the earth maybe, so pentacles, but no, I don't see that. Or maybe it could be swords, but you know, you see what I mean? It could be anything. It's just that in some decks that I have, bones are clearly swords or bones are clearly wands. In this deck you would not be able to know that. So we got Castiel, obviously. Castiel is a very moody kind of figure, and I really like it because it's supposed to be an angel, but it's also so moody that at times it's actually comedic. Like, it offers a comic relief to some situations because it's an angel. It doesn't necessarily understand humans' behavior. So I really like it. And this is one of my favorite characters because I absolutely love Crowley. Hello, boys! I just love Crowley. Crowley and, admittedly, Crowley and Rowena, my favorite... well, it's not a couple because they're mother and son, but my favorite 2 characters on the show, that they're not Dean and Sam. But I also love Jodie and Bill. But anyway, so I love them all. So, Page of Pentagrams. Well, pentagrams, at least is pentagrams, is, as we know, Earth, the suit of the Earth. So that's fine. It's easy to recognize it. I have no problems in that. At least they're trying to use a different way to trace down the pentagrams on the card, which is fine. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, of course. The family here, you know, this would have been more like the suit of cups for me rather than the suit of pentacles, which is obviously this is Dean's love interest, and when Sam is basically, Dean thinks that Sam is lost, and then he just decides to hang in the shoes, you know, the hunter shoes. And he finds back his love interest and starts living with her and her son. So they have this idea for like 3 months that Dean's normal life is very boring. And you see one episode, I believe, and everyone went, we don't want to see any more of that, in which, and he still has, obviously, the hunt is part of his, living spirit, I would say, is part of his soul, and he wants to keep on doing that. but it is restrained by all the domesticity of having a domestic life and a family and everything. So blades, that's clearly swords, I would say. So pentagrams, we got it. Blades, we got it. It's about bones and the last suit, which I don't really know which one it is. So of course the knives. Yeah, I mean, I'm not because I also know, honestly, I also can recall, if I think about it, I can actually recall where I've seen these particular knives in the show, at what point, you know what I mean? And so it's not, yes, it is, on the one hand, it is peepish, but if you're a true fan, and I'm not saying that if you don't get it, you're not a true fan. What I'm saying is, if you're obsessed like I am, I can actually go back at those specific episodes and remember when this knife was used or the other one was used, and what is happening here. For example, this is when Sam and Adam fall into hell, basically. So goblets is clearly cups, right? Goblets is clearly cups. So bones is definitely wands. I love Garth. He's another one of my favorites. I think Garth is such, I don't know, he's, even when he becomes, and I'm sorry that I'm giving out spoilers. Actually, I'm not going to give it out the spoiler on Garth, because he is a recurring character, especially in the last season. So I'm not going to give you out the spoiler. But I think that they found a really interesting character arc for Garth. Probably because of fans' letters. Supernatural was one of the first shows in which fans actually tended to steer the decisions of the production. I remember, if you're obsessed as I am, you will remember, when Dean becomes a demon, there's the latest episode of that season in which he's lying down and he opens his eyes and he got demon's eyes, and they filmed the reaction of fans watching that episode for the first time. And that was really an eye-opener on how much the whole world was tuning in and watching Supernatural and loving it and wanting to watch more. And that's why they went on for 15 seasons. So, you know what? I'm not upset. I actually like it, you know? I don't mind. Yeah, there's, especially seems to be the 6s and the 7s and the 8s that are kind of peepish, but it's okay. And then you've got all of these characters. It's a pity they could have ended up with the 10 of Cups being when they're in, basically they reunite in heaven. That could have been a nice way to show that. It's fine. You know what? It's fine. I was so worried that it was gonna be terrible. It's not terrible. I actually like it, and I really love the blue. I really love the blue. It is one of those shows that is actually best. The best episodes are the episodes in which the action takes place at night. I really like it. I really like all of those episodes, which is most of them, admittedly. And so the blue gives you those kind of vibes. So you know what? I love it. I like it. Come on, it's fine. I mean, yeah, I would have loved it to be a bit more scenic, but it's fine. To the point that not happy about just having the tarot deck of Supernatural, I actually bought the Oracle. And I think that this is more recent. Let me just see if I can find 2024, so it is more recent, and I see here the copyright is actually by Warner Bros. So I'm expecting it to be even more faithful to the reproduction of the characters than the tarot deck is. Insight Edition doesn't have, I believe that they have some kind of an arrangement, otherwise they wouldn't be able to do what they do. But at the same time, they cannot reproduce entirely the faces of the characters. But this one is owned by, or it's been licensed by Warner Bros., which owns Supernatural, so maybe we're gonna see them looking like they look in real life. So it comes with a guidebook as well. Let me just see, because it's really bound really tight. So this is more, I would say I've already seen a couple of cards, and it feels more like it's an archetype kind of deck, which I don't mind, because to be honest with you, I actually really enjoy. I take it as some kind of a challenge for me to see if I can relate, for example, something about Castiel to, let's say, without reading out of the guidebook, if I understand what they want to talk about when they point to the archetype represented by him. So that would be a really cool exercise to see whether I know my supernatural trivia, but also not just the trivia, because I can know a lot of facts as I do. But it's also about being able to understand what they wanted to achieve in the show, you know, by for example, telling us about, I don't know, the many different things that drive the plot, but also the intention of the creator of this Oracle deck. What were they thinking about when they started coming up with the idea of, you know, the Angel Castiel or Angel Blade, for example? What did they want to point to? Because this is still an Oracle deck. Otherwise, I would have just bought a deck of playing cards. So I would have bought a deck to play a role-playing game or something like that. So this is an Oracle deck, and it needs to be an Oracle deck. For the Tarot deck, that's easy. It's a tarot deck. It's easy. It already comes with centuries old tradition about how to read the cards. And the only way in which an author can mess it up is to not being able to transpose onto paper with the images they choose the meaning of the card. But for the Oracle deck, that is actually more difficult, because it needs to resonate, but at the same time, you also want it to be pleasant, aesthetically pleasing, and so on and so forth. So I have no idea whether they succeeded in this endeavor. But in any case, I really do believe that we can still enjoy both these decks. I did not hear as many bad reviews over the Oracle, the Supernatural Oracle, as I have, unfortunately, on the Supernatural Tarot. There seems to be a lot of people really, and I don't want to say the word hate, because I really don't think that you can get to hate a deck. But there's a lot of discontent, and I do believe that it's because there was a lot of expectations about that tarot deck being fully illustrated and everything, which is not, obviously. Supernatural, these are the backs. Sorry, I thought that we were already starting with the front. And so here it is. They have a kind anti-possession symbol. Of course, we all know about this, and baby, of course. What I do love is that both the tarot deck and the oracle, as I can see now, has the images on the card actually going out of the borders just a little bit, but that's what I like in a deck. Benny Lafitte, of course, we've seen it, Billy. Hi, Billy. Bobby Singer. By the way, Bobby Singer is also the name of one of the producers, and in one episode there is someone actually making a comment, oh, what kind of doofus would use his own name in a TV production or something like that. That was obviously wink wink at the producer of the Banca. These are the later episodes. See, that's another thing that sometimes, because Charlie, my beloved Charlie, I love Charlie so much. The risk is that you have so many seasons, so many episodes, that you don't necessarily capture the essence of, maybe there's one season that goes completely unnoticed and so on and so forth. And I don't know whether that will be the case, but the Banker is certainly referring to the latest seasons, whereas, for example, the Crossroad Demons is at the beginning, or almost at the beginning. Crowley is for, the later seasons. I read so many things, I watched so many interviews. I really like the actor as well. I think that he really incarnates a fantastic Crowley. Really, really spot on. The Darkness. Hey, Dean. And Dean's Amulet. Death. One of the many. Devil's Trap. Donna is fantastic, isn't she? Can I just say something? Because I know you're all thinking it. I know. So Donna, the first time we meet Donna is when she goes to a spa. So she's a policewoman, obviously. And she goes to a spa because she heard a lot of really good thing about people going there and then losing 5 kilos in 1 week. And she's like, well, I could use that. And so she goes to the spa. And the reason why people lose weight so fast is because there is this, it's kind of a fat vampire, not fat vampire in fat as in large. I would never use it that way. I mean fat as in the fat. So it's a vampire that sucks out fat, the fat out of people's bodies. So basically, it's almost a liposuction, I would say. It sounds a lot like that. And every time I watch that episode, I think to myself, damn, I wish they had a clinic or a spa like that. I would be the first client. I would just, can you imagine? Because you just end up with a couple of puncture marks on your back or your thighs or everything. Like, I don't care. Just bite me as much as you want. Just suck away all the fat. I'm okay with that. So I really thought, and she was like, oh damn, I only lost like a couple of pounds. And I thought to myself, I would have been, so she is actually not upset when she gets to know what actually happens at the clinic, and she's a cop, right? And the thing that her mind goes to, damn, I only had the time to lose like a couple of pounds. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I would have thought. The empty. Gabriel, as I said, one of my favorites. Garth, absolutely. And Ghost Faces. Ghost Faces, which, by the way, I am a huge fan of Zach Bagan. Because I hope that I'm pronouncing his family name correctly. I believe it's Bagan. I could be wrong, maybe Brennan. But in any way, it's Zach from Ghost Hunters. You can find it on HBO. I just love watching all of his shows so much. And I do believe that because he was actually, he started back in the early 2000 or around that time, I believe that this one looks a lot like him, and when he was much younger than now. And so I believe that there was a little bit of a wink to that show as well. Hey, Chuck. Jack. And Jodie. Jodie's fantastic. John Winchester, of course. And his journal. Kevin. Hey, Kev. Leviathan, Lucifer. Fantastic actor, by the way. Really great interpretation of Lucifer, I believe, the Mark of Cain. Hey, Mary. Meg is my favorite demon. I mean, if we count Crowley as a demon. Meg is, I just love the way she talks, and it's the actress that chose that way of talking in the show. I just love the way she talks so much. I think I wanted, the show to show her again, because I really liked her. Metatron, really did not like Metatron at all, but so be it. The Pie, Purgatory, of course. Rowena, hi Rowena. I love Rowena so much. She was a dancer. She was a ballet dancer. Can you imagine? The actress used to be. And Salt. Can I just say this? Ever since I started watching Supernatural, I always make sure that wherever I go to live, the first thing I buy is a pack of salt. It's just, it really conditioned you. And it's one of those shows. And Sam. Great. You know what? I don't care. For me, it's like, is this making me feel like I'm 20 years younger and watching the show for the first time? Heck yeah. And so I love it for it. And you know what, it might actually read really nicely with the tarot, so why don't we try it out? Okay, so I just shuffled both the decks quickly, and we're just gonna do a couple of readings like this. If it works, it works. Otherwise, I would just work it with them a little bit more. And let's see. So we've got Jack in the center here. Jack is a very enigmatic kind of figure for me because, and he's supposed to, I think that the actor really nailed it, because he's supposed to be, a Nephilim, basically. But at the same time, he's also incarnating all the power of Lucifer, but also the goodness that he received from his own mortal human mother. And I think that at the beginning, because he was born already like 18-year-old, and obviously you need to show a character arc. You cannot start from a certain point and then go horizontally. So I believe that at the beginning they gave him this stupor permanently painted on his face, and trying to understand how to navigate the world and try and understand why humans do the things that we do. So at the same time, though, it's also the custodian of a power that is, I would say, not insignificant. It is a power that ultimately, if it's used for the good, it's a permanent kind of good. So we see this incredible power behind him, But at the same time, we also know that in order to get that, he has to go through all the trouble and tribulations of that we as humans go through. So I would see this as a very ambivalent kind of figure. And we see the so we got the 10 of Wands here, which is Castiel. The 10 of Wands, we know now that it's referring to the 10 of Wands or the 10 of Fire. And then we got the Magician. It seems to be telling us that there is a lot of promise coming out of Jack's and Jack's idea, the concept of Jack, the reason why Jack exists as a character in Supernatural. So there is this burden. It's a major burden. And also in Jack, we see this burden in one of the, let's say, episodes after he reaches maturity. There is this really strong burden that he feels he is carrying it. And Castiel is perfect for the 10 of Wands because he always looks like he's carried the weight of the world on his shoulder, even when he's actually not. So I believe that if we feel this kind of burden in understanding how to use your own power, we also need to, if we want to get to the point in which we can use it for the good, we also need to understand that we need some kind of training, and we need to be aware of what resources we have at our disposal, like you do when you learn to be the magician. The magician looks at what they have and they understand how to use their tools, their intelligence, their magic, and so on and so forth. So I'm liking the way in which I can relate the characters to the cards as well. So the King of Pentagrams, for example. So we got Jodie between the King of Pentagrams and the Six of Swords. Well, that to me is quite clear. So Crowley is a king. Even if we understand from the dynamic of the story that he has a boss and reports the boss. And in a couple of cases, he's also in shackles, for example, because there's also a character arc for him as well. But so I believe that it does represent that figure of the embodiment of the emperor in the suit of Pentacles because of all the resources he's got. He's got the wolfhounds. He's originally started as a crossword demon, but then he just had a really quick career. Very quickly, he just ascended to the top of the top. And so I can definitely see that, but I can also see the struggle of Jodie. Jodie that struggles to understand. She also struggles through grief, by the way, Jodie. It's just in the very first time in which we see her that we understand her situation. But she's basically getting out of a very sad situation, and she moves on, and that's a Six of Swords to me. So there is this sense of moving towards and moving away from a situation that was still hurting us. And the trip is very difficult, but we know that we have to do it because we have to reach the shore, and the shore on the other side of the lake or the river do represent some kind of hope. So we can see that also embodied in Jodie's story, because she goes from a very lonely kind of situation and she goes through a lot of grief more and more throughout the show. But then at the end, the peak is when she has these two kids she needs to take care of, two teenage girls, so you can imagine. And at the same time, she's cooking for Dean and Sam, and they're both gorging themselves. Why? Because it's food, and they say it's food that looks like food. And so I really think that it's a perfect way for Jodie to see herself mirrored in the journey that she's done. And the Queen of Pentagram, the Knight of Blades, and the Leviathan Blossom. So I'm just going to flip through the cards to see if there's something that I find interesting. Let's see, Mag. Mag is, Mag and Mag. Well, there you go. Okay, well, that was fun. So Mag is also the Five of Knives. Look, I get it, because, yeah, of course, she's very treacherous. She is, but I just really like her. And her character arc is also a positive one. So she starts being completely mistrustful and deceitful and hideous and really like a negative force. But at the same time, you do see her progressing in what she believes to be the wrong and the right things to do. So I really, really appreciate the possibility to read the cards as a character with her and Chuck, the writer, or God at the end with the world and the Ace of Blades. This is basically the last time in which we see Chuck / God, because that's the moment in which he's confronting Dean and Sam, and associated with the world, it makes sense because you start again. And the Ace of Blades also makes sense in that position, I would say. I think that these two read really well, obviously combined to the fact that we're looking at the same characters, even though they are mostly stylized in the tarot deck. But I would say they're still very recognizable. I would say that the pleasure also comes from the fact that in many cases you can find very similar kind of elements. I'm expecting pentagrams to be everywhere. This is the Enochian language and the sigils. There's going to be, obviously there's also something related to knowing what you're looking at and knowing how to find the symbols. Because in many cases, so Charlie and the laptop is, well, she's a techie. She's obviously, she starts as a techie in a technological aspect. So obviously she's got the laptop with her. So obviously you need to look at the card and understand the symbols that are in the card in order to appreciate the associations. And it's Dean's amulet, for example, that was Sam's gift. And it becomes incredibly important at a point. The Crossroad Demon, with the Grim Reaper, of course, Billy. There's a few Grim Reapers, by the way, in the show. That's Death again. Gabriel and Death and the Two of Swords. Gabriel as well has a character arc that tends to go from, yeah, I'm just having fun and messing with you guys, to no, I know what I need to do. Okay, so it's a very Gabriel and Gabriel again, which is really cool. So I'm really loving the way in which these two read together, they interact, and I'm kind of really excited about the possibility to read these two decks together and also by themselves. Bobby Singer as the Hermit makes perfect sense. So you see, it's not completely random. I really do believe that there's a lot of cards that actually resonate with me. I'm just looking at my cats off camera. Hello. Is it time to feed you? Not really, is it? No, it's not time for a feed. Okay, he's just gonna stay there and watch me. So I'm really excited about these two decks. If you have them, let me know in the comments below what you think. Because I know that there's a lot of discontent, especially with the tarot deck, as I was saying earlier. But personally, my experience so far, which is very, very new, just of the last 20 minutes, I would say it's actually rather positive. Probably because I had read so much and heard so much about people complaining about the cards being lazy peeps that I kind of expected that. And so I kept my hopes really low, and that kind of works all the time. But I'm also happy that probably the Oracle deck represents the opportunity for me to kind of redeem the tarot, in the sense that it is obviously fully scenic because you need it to be. It's an Oracle deck, so if it wasn't fully scenic, you wouldn't be able to read it. But it does help reading the tarot deck. And another deck that has just arrived into my collection is the Divine Circus Oracle by Alana Fairchild. Now, let me explain why I'm so excited. This is a unicorn deck for me. Again, let me explain. So I know that this deck is actually still available. It's a mass market deck and it's by Blue Angels, so chances are that I can even order it directly from the Blue Angel website, because it is based in Australia. Why does it make it a unicorn deck for me? Because this edition is, I would say, the first edition, although I'm not entirely sure, but it is an edition that is prior to the current edition, that is the one that is readily available, very cheap, and you can find it anywhere, of the Divine Circus Oracle. If you don't know the difference, I highly recommend you Google Divine Circus Oracle by Alana Fairchild, and you will notice straight away. There are so many different things, so many changes that honestly, I'm just gonna say this now, but to me, they look like two completely different decks. And yes, the images are somewhat the same, but let me just show you, because really they're not. I've always wanted an oracle deck. I do have a couple of tarot decks that are, let's say, built around the concept of the circus, which I think is absolutely fantastic. There's also a movie, Nightmare Alley, with I believe Toni Collette, which I adore. That's why I tend to follow all of her movies, and also Bradley Cooper and someone else. But in any case, it's a movie where Toni Collette is a tarot reader. And there is this association between, well, at least in the past, with, the concept of the circus and reading tarot. It's almost as if they were saying that tarot readers are freaks. And I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay to be told that I'm a freak, because I actually find it very interesting to be in the company of freaks, and to be a freak myself, it's absolutely fine. So as I was saying, there's even a movie that does show you this kind of association. And I found this oracle deck. I was Googling it, and I saw so many posts on Instagram, especially about this deck. But I noticed immediately that the cards were completely different to the one that was available. Well, first of all, these are the backs, and how super duper cute are they? This is a circus tent. I really love these backs. This is the guidebook, and I would have to say it's probably very similar, if not entirely the same, to the new version, because it's not supposed to be different. It's not supposed to, let's say, take on a different perspective on the characters that are depicted on the cards. Many of these cards you will see are actually more similar to archetypes rather than, the usual image with the title and a keywords. And keywords, this is not necessarily a problem for me in this deck. It usually is. And I usually say that, and I stick to my guns whenever there's just a title, especially if it's an animal deck. To me, if there's a whale, I know that that's a whale. I kind of need some kind of keywords for me to just understand also what the intention of the creator was in depicting a whale on a card. I know it's intuitive, I understand that, but I just do prefer to know that. So in this case, though, I have to say I can use this deck without necessarily needing a keyword. I will also commend the fact that the guidebook is really well written, and besides, Alana Fairchild, she's definitely not new at doing this. So I have only read a couple of cards, but I definitely like them. Let me just show you one, for example. So, Ra, Ra, Ra. Have you had enough of the dark side of life? Fear, doubt, uncertainty, anxiety, frustration, and believing that you cannot manifest your dreams are signs you've been in the darkness too long. It's your time to step out of the darkness and into the light. Very well written, also the rest. But as I was saying, it's not necessarily the guidebook. I really don't think that there's a lot of difference between this guidebook and the new one. Probably, maybe the cardstock, maybe the type of paper that they use. I am not sure. But the cards are completely different. And let me just zoom in, because I really want to show them to you in all of their glory, because I believe that this is a glorious deck. It's really stunning the way it's being set up like that. So you have multiple borders, which again make me a liar, because I'm still liking this one, even though I am someone who prefers the cards to be borderless. And yet the contrast between the black, as you can see here, and the red, orange, and the gold, And the fact that these are really bold titles, they're not unobtrusive. You definitely see them. When your eye look at the image on the card, probably the first thing it goes to is the title. And let me say this is really making a liar out of me, because one thing that I always complain about the Dark Goddess Tarot, the new mass market edition versus the indie edition by Elena Lorenzi Prince, is the titles, because the titles of the card, or rather the names of the goddesses on the cards, is also like this. So it looks like a banner, a curved banner like this, and it's very obtrusive. For example, the Baba Yaga, the title actually covers part of the Baba Yaga's hair. And I'm like, you really don't want to upset the Baba Yaga, you know what I mean? So it could have been done in a different way. But in this case, not only I do not find it obtrusive, I actually really like it. It's in theme with the circus. I expect the circus to be loud and, to be very, maybe gaudy in the colors and glittering and very obtrusive and just really catching my eye and my attention. And I'm okay with that because we're in the theme. And also, this I'm not entirely sure, but because the cardstock, as you can see, is really glossy, whereas the new versions has the new cardstock that Blue Angel is using is quite matte. It's lovely, really. It's very soft and it's really beautiful. And it makes it so that the cards are not, catching the light. And they do, certainly, with this glossy cardstock. But at the end of the day, what I do prefer in a deck that is supposed to be loud, like a Divine Circus kind of deck, is colors popping up. They pop up, they pop out. They are really saturated, and the fact that the gloss is making them more saturated is not bothering me. It's actually helping me to bond with this deck even more. So I am not entirely sure, as I said, about changes on the images, but I don't have the other deck, by the way. I refuse to buy it, and I can only assume that because of the cardstock not being so glossy, they're not as brilliant. You may have to tell me if you have the latest edition. And also, honestly, it feels like this is the card, by the way, that every time you Google Divine Circus Oracle, this is the card that comes up. And I believe it might also be the card that actually is on the box. And looking at this card, you will be able to tell me if you don't see a different deck here. It's a different deck. It's got different vibes. It's got a different attitude. It's got a different voice. It's got a different personality. It will give you different readings. And this is the one that I wanted. And it had become a unicorn deck for me because it was very difficult, nigh impossible, to find it for a decent price. Honestly, I've been looking forever. I went to, every time I was traveling to, smaller places in Australia, I was checking out the local metaphysical store to see if they had an older copy of this deck. They never did. It just, I don't know whether it ran out. It was probably never renewed in that specific. I never knew whether they had run out, possibly, and when they started printing again, they wanted to present a different deck. And I get it, and generally speaking, it's actually something that makes me happy about Blue Angel, because when they do reprint, they actually make sure that there are differences. But at the same time, I'm thinking, like in this case, what if I prefer the original version of this deck? And I just love it so much. This is my circus deck and my freak show deck, and I just really, really love it. I would say that it reminds me a lot of Mother Maud's Carnival of the Lost Souls by Matt Hughes. That is a deck that has been released a couple of years ago by US Games, But the price of that deck, which only has, I believe, about 30 cards or maybe 33, is prohibitive in Australia. It was priced at $75. And I just really don't want to spend that much money plus shipping on an Oracle deck that is a mass market Oracle deck with only 30 cards. I know that there were probably a tarot bag, a coin, a really nice book that goes with it. I get it. But at the end of the day, still $75 for a mass market Oracle deck, it's a bit too pricey. And I've always wanted to have an Oracle deck, as I said at the beginning, that was focusing on the circus vibes. And this one is just it. But not the newer version of this deck. The newer version of this deck looks washed out. I don't know, I might be exaggerating. I don't have it, so obviously I may be wrong. But this is my unicorn deck that finally has come home. I'm so excited to be working with this deck. Really, really love it. And as I said, I love everything about it, from these really gorgeous backs to the fact that, as I said, the glossy cardstock is probably making these colors appear even more brilliant. But I think that is just a win-win. It's a fantastic deck with a fantastic vibe and personality. So, as I was saying, I was incredibly happy to find it. Finally, I found it because there was this lady that was rehoming this in a Facebook group. And when I saw it, I think I reached out within 3 minutes that she had posted it, because that was I was actually thinking about this deck because I would have loved to use it during the Halloween season, and I just missed, but it's okay. It's just really, really gorgeous. Absolutely love it. Okay, so 2 things happened. One is the battery from my face camera went off without telling me. And now I'll have to recharge it completely because I forgot to charge these 2 spare batteries. So no face camera, but I still have a couple of decks, and one of them was just delivered. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep on filming, but just using the top-down camera. And we'll still be able to see the cards, which is, what everyone is really, truly interested in. So what just arrived is a deck. It's an indie deck. It's an Oracle deck, but I've been really looking forward to this deck because I have seen it, let's say, on many feeds, and I really like it, but I wasn't entirely sure because there were 2 versions, one with keywords and one without, and I could only find the one without the keywords. But I finally found the one with the keywords, and that's the reason why I hesitated, not even for a second, to reach out to the person that was selling this deck on one of the Facebook groups, and I acquired it. So now I am going to enjoy it because it's one of those things when you're waiting for a deck for a long time and then you finally find it, it feels like it's some kind of reward for the fact that you've been really good and you've been waiting, or at least that's how it feels like for me. So this is the Messenger Cards Guidance from the Animal Spirits by Sandra Kunz. And as I said, this one is with the keywords, but there is another version of this deck that does not have keywords. These are also square cards, which is generally speaking something I'm not too comfortable with. So let's see how it goes, because I think that sometimes when it comes to details like the shape of the cards, for example, or well, pretty much that's it, really. No, it sometimes also depends on the cardstock, but basically those are the 2 parameters that can be trumped by my love for the cards, the vibes, the aesthetics. If it's a tarot deck that challenges my knowledge of tarot, and so on and so forth. And so let's say that in order of importance, the shape of the cards is not necessarily within the first 5 parameters that I look at. So these are really beautiful. The art style is simply amazing. I really, really like it. It is a bit of a mix between, you will see it in the cards, some cards are fully illustrated, or rather how should I say this? They are all full illustrated, but let's say that there's full colors. Like in this one, for example, some others are more like sketches, I would say. I don't know whether that depends on a different media used. Maybe this one is charcoal and other ones have been completed with watercolor. I'm not entirely sure. The one thing that always surprised me about these cards is how well the sentences or keywords on the cards relate to the cards themselves, and how good the messages are. So in this case, we have allowing, we have self-love, and as you can see, they are quite different. They are quite different, but they do resonate with the keywords, and that's what I really like about this deck. So it is called a messenger or messenger deck or messenger card. So obviously there is already that kind of feeling that you should relate to the messages. You should relate or try and understand what the message is in there for you in specific. So if an eagle is associated with the keyword freedom, how does that resonate for me in specific? And not all of these cards may ring a bell or let's say click with me in specific, but I'm pretty sure that they may click with someone else. So this is probably one of the decks that I'm considering now to use starting from November. I'm actually filming this at the end of October. I will probably post it already in November, but starting from November, I am actually offering the Wheel of the Year 2026 readings. So the Wheel of the Year 2026 is a rather complex kind of reading. And so I take bookings from November on until I would say probably the end of February, because generally speaking, I get so many. This year I want to reduce the number of bookings that I will take, but I get so many that I keep on doing readings well into February. And I do believe that you can actually do that. The energies of, let's say, the year 2026 are still not necessarily chiseled in stone by mid-February. By March, you would say that, it makes sense to do some kind of a 6 months ahead rather than the full wheel of the year. But up until mid-February, you can definitely do that. Look at this one. Wow, very powerful. The Destiny of One, the Creative Force. So as I was saying, I'm actually now considering which decks I'm going to use as a wrap-up message for the Wheel of the Year readings. And I have a couple of decks that I like to use. I've been doing that for many years. But I want to change. I promised myself that I would change and not use the usual ones. Just to see whether, this one may work or not. I think that it might, because there's a lot of considerations when looking at the cards, and it might also tell me how to read the collective card of the year. And next year, by the way, the collective card of the year for all of us is the Wheel of Fortune. So there will be ups and downs. Just let's not forget about that, because this year I really feel like it was a classic example of how you need to read Wheel of the Year readings by looking through the perspective of the collective card for the year. That was the Hermit, and I did that for the Wheel of the Year readings that I've done, and it really resonated with a lot of people, because there was this idea about having to seek out your own self and having to understand what you really want in life. And then with the movement of Pluto, that also happens to be very remarkable as a kind of influence in our lives. So the year of the Hermit, that was this year 2025, was incredibly I would say really loud when it comes to expressing the energies of the Hermit. So we'll need to see whether next year with the Wheel of Fortune it will be the same or not. So I will probably consider this deck for those wrap-up messages, because I really like what I can do with it. And then there's another deck that I was talking about that I just received, And I really want to talk about this deck. It's a Blue Angel deck that I'm pretty sure it's not available yet in the US. It is available, however, in Australia. And it is the Tarot of Secrets. I bought it because of one card. I saw a flip through and I fell in love with that one card. And all of the other ones are pretty as well. I really like the art style. It is the artwork by Mana Novais, was also the illustrator of Sunshine Connolly's decks. So the Soul Mirror Oracle, the Soul Reflections Tarot, and also the Nova Witch Tarot. And she's also the illustrator of this deck that has been created by Tess Whitehurst. So you will see combining Tess and Anna. I think this is going to be fantastic. I've seen, as I said, a flip through very quickly. I wasn't really considering too much, but I've heard that the guidebook is more like a companion book to this deck, and it's incredibly interesting as well. So I will show you, I will talk about that one card that made me buy the deck. And by the way, there's another card that I do not think I can show in the channel because of nudity. And so I will just be careful to either avoid showing that, or perhaps I would just cover it with pixels or stuff like that. I will find a solution, don't worry, I will find a solution. So this is the Tarot of Secrets. Blue Angel, very recent publication, as I said. It is available in Australia, probably next month also in the US. It is one of those luxurious kind of products by Blue Angel. They don't release a lot of tarot decks, but ironically the last 3 releases were tarot decks. So the Bonestone and Earthflesh Reawakening Edition Tarot, the Soul Reflections Tarot, and the Tarot Secrets. And I'm very excited about this because, as I said, I mean, Anna and Tess as well, I love both of them. Let's have a look at this because, as I was saying, I've been told that this is a fantastic book. And I know that many of you really pay attention to how good guidebooks are when it comes to a new deck. So let me just go and have a look at what we've got here. So we've got a little bit of the table of contents show the secrets are within you. So an intro to the deck, how to prepare your deck for use, how to do a reading with the Tarot Secrets, how to do magical and spiritual work with the Tarot Secrets, and then the cards. So I don't see anything particularly mind-blowing about this. I don't know whether the titles are just hiding something really precious that I'm not necessarily seeing for now. Obviously, I will read the introduction. It's always really interesting to know what the motivation was behind the creation of a deck. What did the author want to manifest, with this specific deck? How to prepare the deck. It's always interesting to also see how they relate their practice into their own deck, and they suggest for you to whether follow what they do, the same practice, the same way to prepare a deck, or just saying just try and bond, try and find a way to bond with your deck, your own way of bonding with the deck, which is what I generally do. How to do a reading with the Tarot Secrets. So there's a couple of questions here, which is interesting. And it literally tells you, once you have a spread in mind, hold the deck in both hands, relax, breathe, and settle in. Ask your question or focus on the issue that you'd like guidance on. Yes and no questions are not helpful. Instead, phrase your question in an open-ended way, like, what do I need to know about this situation? How can I best move forward if I want to experience this outcome? And so on and so forth. I do understand why people would recommend it to me to talk about on my channel. So a couple of people literally reached out saying, can you please do a bit of a review of this deck? And I generally do first impressions, and I don't want to sound, Jesus, how am I going to say this? I don't want to sound anhedonic, as in, I really find it difficult to enjoy things lately. But it is kind of true. I feel like lately, because I have so many decks, it's become more and more difficult for me to have a a very enthusiastic reaction after the first impressions, and that's the reason why I'm only filming videos on first impressions, and very rarely am I filming videos with, let's say, a deep dive or a walkthrough, or showing you my practice on how to use that specific deck and so on and so forth. I still do that. Like you will remember the Unveiled Tarot, for example. I did 2 this year with the Manga Tarot as well. So this year is actually even more than what I generally do. But I will have to say this. It is because I have so many decks, and I also wanted this year, we do have a couple of spreads, by the way, I just wanted to point that out. So I forced myself this year to include more decks in my usual rotations, because I have so many, and I just separated the ones that I want to keep as collectible items, which I don't want to use because I don't want to ruin them, and the other ones that are mostly pertaining to my practice, whether it's my YouTube channel, so all of these videos that I make for you guys and for myself, but also and especially for my members, because I do a lot more videos ironically for my members than I do for my general subscribers, because we do a lot of work with my members. And obviously those ones, they do belong to my practice, and the ones that belong to my practice, because basically they are the ones that I use for myself and just for myself. And I still have a lot, even by making these kind of divisions. And so I told myself that I forced myself this year to include more decks in these rotations, use more decks. It's working so far, and I like this practice. So this is the guidebook. So I'm seeing these are still the majors. 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. Wow, okay, fair enough. Okay, let's see. So it does give you, we have a small thumbprint in full color, then the title, then a couple of keywords, justice with equalizing force, and the guidance reading. Then we have a dynamics, which I don't necessarily know what it is. While pure divine wisdom transcends judgment, punishment, and reward, in this human experience we participate in the drama that is born from the illusion of separation. Okay, interesting. This is why we need justice, to curb unfairness by reprimanding those who have behaved poorly, protecting the disenfranchised, and compensating those who have been wronged. While undifferentiated divine light is whole and without polarities, this human experience is finite and polarized. As we interact with others in the physical world, we experience ups, downs, spirals, swirls, and the full spectrum of experience and emotion. Justice stands with her bare feet on the earth and channels all the power of heaven. Indeed, she connects heaven with earth by conducting the eternal diamond light of infinity into the finite physical world of form. In so doing, she facilitates structure and illuminates a roadmap that helps us find equilibrium even within the uncharted chaos of human life. Okay, that was a bit philosophical and a bit abstract for me. I probably... this is my process of learning things. I cannot just read them once. So I have to read them a couple of times and then try and repeat them and to see whether I actually learned something or not. I do like the way in which this is structured, the guidance and dynamics, and then secrets. Obviously, this is called the Tarot of Secrets. So crown and justice is the symbol of vitriol, the corrosive agent of change. Like justice itself, vitriol may seem harsh, but when used properly, it can immediately provide the corrective measures that are required. The swords provide a portal to clarity, they cut away illusion, subterfuge, and all that is irrelevant to the situation at hand. I like that it's talking about the symbols presented on the card as well, which is always very helpful, especially when you're a tarot teacher. If you're a tarot teacher, I always say I recommend for you to use not necessarily the traditional RWS. Keep it obviously for references, but just pick one of these decks that have an incredibly good guidebook, because I've seen in decades of teaching tarot that people actually respond a lot better to a novelty deck a beautiful deck, let's say, and it could be an RWS clone rather than just the RWS. I see that providing with at least 3 or 4 examples on different decks, and those decks are meaningful. So in some cases, I also use Anatorian's Tarot of the Abyss because of the alternative 3 of Swords and the alternative 10 of Swords. And that, trust me, when I teach tarot, especially the Suit of Swords, everyone is very appreciative of that deck and the possibility to compare it with the RWS. So when it comes to guidebooks, if you're a tarot teacher, I highly recommend don't really focus on are the symbols there in the image. Is it going to help the student immediately identify the keywords related to that card, and so on and so forth. The guidebooks are just as important. Then we've got meanings and messages of justice. Fairness will prevail, you will become victorious in a legal dispute. This is really helpful, especially because what I find some of the 2 most difficult cards to learn for a beginner are, let's say, definitely the Justice and the Judgment card. There is a tendency to confuse them. I always say think about the position in them. Justice comes first and it's still a very terrain, a very so below kind of justice, and Judgment is as above and it comes towards the end, and so it's obviously something that has more like cosmic energies related to that, and that helps. But when you give out keywords or concrete examples like that, for example, fairness will prevail, you will be victorious in a legal dispute, and so on and so forth, this is incredibly helpful to teach the difference between justice and judgment. And then we got also meanings and messages of justice as a reversed card. So really beautiful. I like that there's bullet points here. Now I completely understand why people recommended this guidebook to me. I really like it. I like the way in which it's structured because bullet points really catch your eye. You go immediately there. When you want to talk about one or another one of these aspects, you immediately know where to find them. Let's have a look at what we can get, for example, from a minor. So the 5 of Wands, constructive conflict. Oh, that's interesting. Constructive conflict. Constructive. I don't necessarily see the energy of the 5 of Wands as constructive. As a matter of fact, the 5s, numerologically speaking, are one of the few cards out of a 78 that is reading better when it's reversed rather than upright. I actually see the 5 of Wands as the energy of the drunk, out of the 4 of Wands in which everyone was celebrating because of the wedding. You come out of that and everyone is a bit tipsy, not completely drunk as in pastel, but they all want to participate. There's too many chefs in the kitchen. Everyone thinks that they're better than everyone else, and that is not necessarily constructive to me. However, I do see the energy of fire as always being productive, but not in the 5. Sorry, I'm just thinking not in the 5s. It could be destructive rather than productive. What happens is that when you do have too many chefs in the kitchen, you end up starving because no one will agree on cooking something or other. So this is interesting, and I want to understand why is it called constructive. A healthy mix of opposing factions, objectives, and perspectives will bring about a high-quality product or fabulous outcome. See, this is where I honestly disagree. I have seen this happening. I've been working for an American company and also a Chinese company on a corporate level for years. This never happens. I'm sorry. Maybe it's because human beings are like that. You know what I mean? It's not maybe... From an alchemical point of view, there will be some truth behind this. The concept is valid. Unfortunately, that is just theory, but when you put it in practice, there's a lot to say about humanity. We are completely imperfect, beautiful because of that, but I don't think that the energy of the 5 of Wands presents you with people who want to agree on producing something at the end. I'm not entirely seeing that. Be willing to undergo temporary friction, hassle, and uncertainty to reach a new level of mastery or attain a much cherished goal. Yeah, but you don't get that. You get there later on. And honestly, in the Suit of Fire, not really. Because even when you win, it's the Six of Wands is the victory of one of those 5 tipsy chefs that are in the kitchen. One prevails simply because he's got the loudest voice. And that's what happens, because he gains the crown. Yeah, he wins, he prevails. But what happens afterwards is that because he doesn't recognize his own team and the effort, the communal effort, he finds himself in a 7 of Wands situation in which he has to stand up for his own ideas, because everyone else is against him. So I really don't see it as a constructive conflict. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm always open to reconsider my position. And then dynamics and secrets, meanings and messages of 5 of Wands, and then meanings and messages of 5 of Wands reversed. So this is really beautiful because it does give you the same amount of information between for the majors and also the minors, and I'm expecting them to be as well for the court cards. So let's quickly go to the Queen of Swords, for example. Channel of integrity, yes, thank you. Dynamics, yeah, not worry about appearing authoritative, for she is too busy being authoritative. Sorry, I actually really like this. This is her way. So she's not worried about appearing authoritative, but she's too busy being authoritative. This is her way, for she is naturally and intrinsically aligned with the purest truth and highest justice of the land. Loving this, really loving this secret. And it talks about the elements in there, and then we got upright and reverse. Loving this book, yes, thank you so much for recommending it to me. A fantastic book, really amazing. So in here, I forgot, I also have the Feminine Myths, by the way, illustrated by Anna Novas. And then we've got notes. So Anna is Brazilian. That's why I'm trying to pronounce it the correct way. It's probably wrong. So as I said, I do know that there is one card that I cannot show, unfortunately. Really beautiful, the inside of the box, by the way. Let me just see. Wow. Really beautiful, this box, this 2 parts box. So let me just quickly go through the deck and see if I have to cover something else, and then we'll just have a quick look at it. So it looks like it's just the Lovers cards that I cannot really show, so I put a coin on top of it. So we've got, as always, I'm going, oh no, there's a problem here. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little bit of a stain here. It's not a deal breaker. What I'm actually thinking is because there's already a border here, I may actually trim this deck so it will make it slightly smaller, because the cards are slightly bigger than your regular size. So if I actually cut the borders out, this will not be a problem any longer. So in any case, as always, I'm just going to show you the majors, and then we're going to skip through or look quickly at the minors as well. So we got the full, it feels already like this is a deck that is full of symbology, but it's also layered with astrology and other disciplines as well, because I see a lot of symbols here, sacred geometry, for example, and alchemy, as you can see here. So it will be very interesting to actually study the book. So as you can see, okay, this is the Lovers card and the Chariot, and then I notice also the Strength. Unfortunately, there is nudity, there is a fair bit of nudity. We don't know. I don't know if you have seen, if you follow other tarot tubers, everyone is saying exactly the same. We are completely confused. We have absolutely no idea. So what they did tell us, especially if you're a partner on YouTube, there is a part on your studio website where you can see all of the latest news from YouTube for partners, and there was something regarding use of profanity in a video, and so there was an update regarding that, but there was no specific update regarding nudity and what is considered something that will be flagged or something that is not going to be flagged. So we're all really confused. And it just doesn't make sense, because many of us, me included, have been flagged for nudity. That's, yeah, of course it is. Yes, okay, it is nudity. But if you look even the original 1909 RWS, there's nudity in there as well. So what are we doing here? Are we flagging nudity for nudity's sake? And in that case, then it will be a disaster for tarot tubers, because good luck with that. Or are we flagging nudity and teaching the algorithms to understand the difference between what's artistic and what's exploitation of nudity? I honestly don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. Look at the Hermit. This is really, really interesting with this eye that is missing, and you can see inside his mind. And there's, I don't know what this is, but it might be, so it might give you an idea on the guidebook, but it's really cool. Very esoteric, I have to say. Very esoteric. And this is the Justice card that we've seen earlier, and the Hanged One. Very effective as well, I would say. The images are very effective. The Death, which is actually standing on top of a horse, that's new. Temperance card, and we got the Devil, really beautiful. And the Tower, of course, very esoteric. It's really full of symbols. And then, of course, the Star as well. I don't know why I didn't see them. You know, I need to train my eye to actually start seeing nudity again. Anyway. Glorious Moon card. Oh my goodness, this is really gorgeous. And the Sun, Judgment, and the World card. And now we're just gonna have a look quickly at the minors. By the way, they are divided in colors, let's say the suits, and these are the colors that correspond to the edging of the guidebook. I don't know if you can tell, so it makes it easier if you want to find the card in the meaning of a card in the guidebook. So this one is absolutely gorgeous, and I have to say, this is the Three of Vases, so cups. Really gorgeous, fantastic colors. The artwork is fantastic, but it's also, I was blown away because it looks 100% like a painting realized by the father of one of my closest friends. And he was a painter, an architect, and an artist. But he loved this kind of colors. And my friend has so many paintings by his dad in her house. And this looks exactly like one of them that I really like, by the way. I also was told that some of these cards will be pips. But they will still have some illustration. You see, I'm okay with this. This is not a pip for me. This is still fully illustrated. It's just that it finds its way, or it finds the way to communicate the message of the card in a kind of a minimalist way, or even rather than minimalist, I would say very symbolical way. And so I'm okay with that. And this is the card that convinced me to buy this deck. This is the King of Vases, King of Cups, or King of Water. This is a whale shark. Let me just do this because you can see a bit better. So whale sharks are the one animal that is still eluding me. I have tried, so there's a few places on the planet where you can actually swim with whale sharks. One of them very famous is in Mexico. I believe you leave from Cancun or Playa del Carmen. And we booked it, we were ready, we woke up at 4 a.m. to do that. And we were called within an hour, telling us that they had to cancel because there was a really massive storm, and that was true. We couldn't even leave the hotel that day. And unfortunately, the storm went on the day after, and then the day after that, we had to take a flight out of Mexico, so we couldn't do it. And that was really heartbreaking because I really wanted to do it. And then another time, there's another place which is called Ningaloo Reef here in Australia, in Western Australia. Again, booked everything ready to go. And then it was the day before we went into lockdown. It was in 2020. And it was literally the day before we went into lockdown that we were meant to fly out, but they had already canceled the flight because they knew that we were going to go into lockdown, so we couldn't do that either. So there's a little bit of a opposing energy here. I get it, I respect it. It wasn't the right time, it wasn't the right place. I'm fine with that, but I'm still really wanting to see them and swim with them. Because they're supposed to be absolutely glorious. And this is the card that convinced me to buy this deck, because I really want to manifest this idea of one day being able to swim with the whale sharks. By the way, whale sharks are not technically sharks. They are planktonids, so they eat the same thing as whales. And they don't have, let's say, sharp teeth. They do not harm humans. So it's not how should I say, a dangerous activity. I have been swimming with sharks a few times, even in a cage once. Those were kind of dangerous and I was protecting myself. But whale sharks really is just absolutely fine. This Four of Wands, oh my God. Wow, amazing. Can I just say that it kind of combines a little bit of darker energy in it as well, which is fine. I'm fine with that. And this is the Five of Wands that we were reading earlier, you know. And yeah, I get it. I get why people would tell me, you know, just for you to know, it is a little bit peepish. I completely get, whoa. Okay. Oh, that's the Seven of Wands. Yeah, very powerful. Wow. I get it though, you know, like a barking dog. I get it. I'm okay with it. And the Eight of Wands, ooh, with an axe, breaking one of the sticks, wands, whatever they are, spears. Very symbolic. You see, oh, puppy. Is that a puppy of a wolf or a dog? It looks like a wolf. Nine of Wands. See, I really want to read the guidebook now because I don't immediately understand the references here, the associations. But it's so symbolical. My God, this deck. So the swords. Okay, let's have a look. Guys, let's brace ourselves. The Suit of Swords. The colors are amazing, by the way. Really gorgeous colors. I love the associations of this guy. And of course, what was I expecting? Oh, of course. Yeah, it's fine. Four of Swords, really powerful as well. Wow, really powerful. Five of Swords, it gives me the idea that this is a transformation that goes from the Four of Swords to the Five of Swords. See, okay, I would not say that this is peepish. It's minimalist, I would say that, but at the same time, it's because it's very symbolical. I could be wrong, and maybe you disagree, but this deck's actually better than other decks that I've seen lately, because I can actually work with a deck like this. Wow, Seven of Swords, my God. Okay, guys, some images here are actually quite triggering. Okay. Wow, okay, Eight of Swords. So you see here, the heads are not there. So this is definitely a fox. And the head of the fox is not there. There's a cloud. And this is a horse, and the head is actually a flame. For the Eight of Swords, a flame for an air card. Right? That's interesting. Nine of Swords, my goodness, look at that. You tell me. This is fully scenic to me. And it's very symbolical as well. This leap of faith, but you know that you're not going to make. This is gorgeous, gorgeous. I love it. No, I don't love this one, but you know, you can't love everything. Princess of Swords. By the way, there is a renaming. Princess is Page. And then we got the Knights. And the Queen of Swords that I was reading earlier. Really love it. I love the description. It's fine. And now coins, really beautiful as well. See, to me, this is not a peepish deck. I understand though why people would tell me, because I think that sometimes I have this reaction that I'm so disappointed that when people recommend me a deck, they just want to put everything up front and say, by the way, just don't be disappointed because it's got like the cardstock is like this, or it's got pippish minors, or so it's a way for me to not raise my hopes up, which I completely appreciate. Beautiful, really beautiful. The cardstock is a bit thicker than I would like it to be, but it's still very flexible. As you can see here, it's got that really soft, velvety kind of latest production by Blue Angel. You will see all of their decks lately. They've adopted the same kind of specification when it comes to the cardstock, and I like it. I like it also because it doesn't catch the light. It's completely matte, which is always good when you're filming or taking photos. And that was it, guys. Super duper long video, but it was an epic tarot and oracle deck haul. And also, we've talked about the Discombobulator, the magazine that Andrea Aste has created. And with all of us participating, myself, Sasha Graham, and Letizia Barbier and others. And I just love to repeat my name together with those names because it's like, oh my God. And we're going to officially present it on the 21st of November at the College for Psychic Studies in London. So if you're there, it's a free event. Come say hi. I would love to see you. But that was it for today. And have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Bye.